Hello everyone, let's continue our lecture. In this lecture, the failure modes of the plate girders will be discussed. As the plate girder is commonly designed to have thick flanges and thin web, therefore, it is susceptible to web buckling. Figure shows the web buckling phenomena of the plate girder. In this figure, you can also see the end stiffener. Due to heavy concentrated loads, the web plate below the compression flange may be subjected to such flexural compressive stress or bending, that it can buckle. At greater distances from the compression flange, such buckling does not take place due to reduced bending stress. In order to prevent such compression buckling of the web, near the compression flange, longitudinal stiffeners are provided. Meanwhile, the buckling of the web plate due to shear can be prevented by providing transverse web stiffeners. This figure shows the transverse web stiffener, bearing stiffener and jacking stiffeners. And some other pictures shows the transverse web stiffener and longitudinal stiffeners. At some point, the girder may also experience web bearing due to heavy concentrated loads or reactions. Due to its slenderness nature, without a proper constraint on the top of the flange plate, the plate girder may also susceptible to lateral torsional buckling. Do you know, the plate girder can be very slender? The height of plate girder can be as twice as normal human height. As mentioned earlier, all the failure modes can be prevented by providing sufficient lateral restraints, for example composite slab to avoid LTB, adding transverse stiffeners along the length of the beam web. This figure shows the transverse web stiffener. The function of transverse web stiffeners are to help combat the effects of web buckling, to provide support to any concentrated load or reaction. There are three types of transverse stiffeners. First, load-carrying stiffeners. A circumflexural are stiffeners at locations of concentrated loads to prevent web buckling. Second, load-bearing stiffeners. A circumflexural are stiffeners at locations of concentrated loads to prevent web crushing. And the third is intermediate stiffeners. A circumflexural necessary to develop tension field action. Basically, the load-carrying and load-bearing stiffeners are physically the same stiffener, but separate design checks must be carried out for web buckling and web bearing. Figure shows the development of the tension field action on the plate girder. Tension field action refers to the phenomena whereby after the onset of shear local buckling, the shear panels between the transverse stiffeners are able to develop tension force to provide equilibrium via the truss action. The shear capacity of the plate girder is significantly enhanced with tension field action. Okay, let's do some exercise. With a good explanation, write and sketch the difference between transverse web stiffeners and longitudinal stiffeners. Also, how does these stiffeners contribute in preventing the failure modes? Explain in this topic. Finally, you are required to explain the development of tension field action phenomenon.